Hello, everyone. I am René Salgado, President of the EmpreSomos Central American Initiative, dedicated to promoting entrepreneurial development across the region. You can find us at empresomos.org. Welcome to today's session focused on University Entrepreneurial Ecosystems, part of our program EmpreSomos Central America Entrepreneurial Connectivity, implemented in collaboration with CLATS, INCAE, and CAMTIC. University Entrepreneurial Ecosystems play a vital role in fostering entrepreneurship by bridging academic research with practical innovation and entrepreneurship. Today, we are honored to have with us the editors of the topic, University Entrepreneurial Ecosystems, Evolution, Configurations, and Impacts, featured in the Journal of Technology Transfer. Their expertise and insights will provide invaluable perspectives on the evolution and significance of these ecosystems. Our distinguished guests today are Daniel Prokop, Chiara Marzocchi, Fumi Kitagawa, and James Cunningham, all experts in research on entrepreneurial ecosystems. They will introduce themselves, share their research interests and publications, and offer an overview of the scope, themes, and key features of the Journal of Technology Transfer. We will also delve into the University Entrepreneurial Ecosystems Evolution, Configurations, and Impacts project, edited by Professors Prokop, Marzocchi, Kitagawa, and Cunningham, and Bresnitz. They will discuss the project scope, topics, and expectations, providing a deeper understanding of the work and its contributions to the field. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to a fruitful exchange of ideas. And now we are all set. Thank you.
Thank you, René.
Thanks to you. Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to, okay, so we are, yeah, Daniel, you have to, now we can hear you. Okay.
Sorry, I was just trying to share the screen. Yeah, we can see it all, I hope. So I think we're going to do some introductions first. I think we can start with Chiara.
Hello, hi. Well, thank you, René, for having us here to discuss our work. I am Chiara. I'm an associate professor in entrepreneurship and innovation at Newcastle University Business School. My research broadly looks at the impact of knowledge organizations such as university and the impact they have on entrepreneurship and broader knowledge exchange. So as such, I work mostly in understanding nascent entrepreneurship, looking at graduates, how the human capital that universities generate contributes to the surrounding localities.
Thank you, Chiara.
James.
Thank you. Thank you, René, for the introduction. I'm James Cunningham. I'm a professor of entrepreneurship and innovation at Newcastle University Business School, a colleague of Chiara. And I suppose I have three main lines of research. Very much interested in looking at the micro level, at the individual level, how academics understand and go about undertaking academic entrepreneurship. And I'm particularly interested in those who become principal investigator and how they make sense of all the competing demands that they have, both in terms of doing research, but also realizing commercialization and wider impact. I'm also interested in terms of how universities interact with industry, particularly through knowledge transfer, technology transfer, and looking at the impact and how the offices that are within universities, how are they organized, the strategy, the structures, and the approaches that they take. And then at a more wider level, I'm interested in how universities interact with the wider ecosystem and how they use their role as an anchor institution to support academic and entrepreneurship within their region and beyond.
Thank you.
And I'm Daniel Prokop. I'm a senior lecturer in economic geography. My recent research focus was based on the University Entrepreneurial Ecosystems. But more broadly, I'm interested in regional economic development issues that are linked to innovation and entrepreneurship activity. I have developed a special focus on academic spin-off companies, which I find quite interesting and very unique companies that deliver innovations from the source of knowledge generation to us. So that's the introductions. We are missing Fumi Kitagawa and Shiri Bresnitz today, who couldn't join us. but they are part of our editorial team. So we focus in our special issue on the evolution, configurations, and impacts. It's the first special issue really on the University Entrepreneurial Ecosystems. This is an emerging topic. And I think we can move to the next slide. We've organized this session with the Journal of Technology Transfer. We're really grateful to the journal for agreeing to have that special issue. Chiara, do you want to say about the origins of the of the special issue?
Yes, of course. So, well, we were, as Dan was discussing, this has been an emerging theme and with quite some overlaps amongst all of us. Some of us knew each other from before, but actually the chance to bring us together came with the Geography of Innovation Conference, which was hosted in Manchester, at Manchester University last year, where we actually decided to develop a special session together. And in this special session, we kind of created the backbones of what was going to be the special issue. And particularly, we were interested in, expanding this idea of university and third mission and understanding better which were the patterns of development and evolution of entrepreneurial ecosystems. So university entrepreneurial ecosystem have been research, as Dan mentioned, in the literature, but actually they've been somewhat research a bit as a sub-ecosystem of broader entrepreneurial ecosystem, whilst we wanted to bring the focus there. We wanted to bring the focus there because, there's been a long history of research on academic entrepreneurship, so spin-offs, so to speak, and how universities have geared their resources and assets to commercialize the knowledge that is produced by staff. But we thought that, nowadays this vision needs to be complemented by a bit more of a broader multiple stakeholder perspective, because it's not just academic staff or infrastructure such as technology transfer offices that actually are promoting entrepreneurship at university, but a number of other stakeholders, as well as having a range of actors which are involved in the entrepreneurial activities of the university. And as such, the universities and the region where universities are located are responding by complementing these actors with other agents that are involved in the process. So we have investors, we have students, and so on and so forth. Am I missing anything, Dan? James?
No, I think you covered it very well. James, maybe you want to say something about the focus of our special issue?
Thanks very much, Dan. And I suppose to follow on from Chiara, I suppose if you look at the Journal of Tech Transfer, has been obviously a very well-established journal for nearly over 45, nearly 50 years in the field. And it's great to have an opportunity among the editors to be able to sort of begin to develop a new research agenda around this whole very exciting and interesting topic. First of all, I suppose, like any new and evolving sort of field of area of interest, is looking at in terms of what is the development of theory that will underpin our understanding of university entrepreneurial ecosystems. So again, I think our thinking here is that we're very open and we're very interested to hear and from different disciplinary perspectives, is there what could be the theoretical foundations to build and develop this line of research. Also, I suppose there's maybe within the existing literature, just broadly speaking, there's a lot of sort of existing focus on, very traditional sort of forms like licensing, sort of technology transfer and all of that. But what we see now, universities are more involved in social justice, grand challenges, looking at broader societal areas. So maybe there's different collaborations, different forms of activities, but also that generates maybe different pressures, different opportunities for the development and evolution of university ecosystems. So what are the new, maybe exciting different, both in terms of different activities between universities and ecosystems. What are the different actors that are being involved, and what are the roles of these different actors and stakeholders as they come together to deal with or to respond to different sort of challenges, but also different opportunities within their context. What we're seeing, I suppose, that obviously if you look at the fields quite generally in terms of technology transfer, has very much developed a very much a North American or European sort of perspective. But then when you look at emerging studies from other parts of the world around universities and ecosystems, there's very different, stronger contextual features that really drive in terms of how university ecosystems evolve. So think of maybe universities that come from maybe post-conflict contexts. So they're dealing with a very different set of challenges and opportunities, maybe using some of the tried and trusted mechanisms that universities would use to engage with industry and society. But they're dealing with a lot of different pressures, cultural and maybe different social norms as well. So we're very much interested in terms of the different compositions of university ecosystems and the different roles of stakeholders and how those maybe roles evolve depending on the contextual challenges, and also in terms of what's happening in particular regions and wider sort of country contexts in terms of policies and practice. We're also looking at in terms of university sort of entrepreneurial ecosystem functions. So what is the purpose of a university entrepreneurial ecosystem? Who does it serve? Who are the beneficiaries? And what are the processes involved that underpin the different outputs and outcomes? So we know a lot in terms of academic scientific production. We have obviously a good knowledge understanding of the different outputs and outcomes. But as we're sitting in different contexts, we're seeing that governments, different stakeholders are requiring universities produce different types of outcomes and artifacts beyond scientific papers, beyond university startups. Maybe to be involved more heavily in the policy development, be more actively involved in their communities and maybe helping resolve social issues, social justice issues, or different things. So how do you measure those? How do you capture the process and also the different types of functions and activities that universities are involved in? And lastly, I suppose we're interested in the spatial and evolutionary perspectives. Very much interested in terms of how a university ecosystem evolves. So, looking at in terms of as universities grow and develop and get to a critical mass, as their context grows and develops, and maybe their economic base that they inhabit changes, the social cultural dimension changes, the wider sort of national sort of environment that they're in. So how does that influence and impact and shape the evolution of a university ecosystem and those actors that are charged with sort of leading some of that? And also, I suppose maybe we have a lot of focus on maybe urban areas, but also looking at in terms of the spatial dimension from rural or peripheral areas and how they interact with university ecosystems, or do they have much interaction? How sustainable is that? And what are the outputs and outcomes of that? And then obviously look at in the wider spatial dimension in terms of across maybe the global south, maybe global north, and obviously there might be some strong differences in that. So again, I suppose our message is that we're very much open to sort of new perspectives and new ideas around how to move forward in terms of our thinking and understanding of university entrepreneurial ecosystems.
Thank you, James. And we have some questions already about the special issue, and we just want to make it clear that it's meant to capture the breadth of different works that can be theoretical or conceptual in nature. They can be purely focused on empirics, for example, showing us case studies of particular ecosystems, which would be amazing, especially if they are of comparative nature. And if they show some new methodological approaches to measuring university entrepreneurial ecosystems or the outputs or outcomes. So any of these kind of focuses in the submissions would be really welcomed. Also, I think it's worth mentioning because I've been at a Reshape event last week in London. There's been a growing interest around, as James mentioned, these social innovations, but also activity of translating research from university departments that are in social sciences, humanities, arts, and so on, that are non-traditional science fields. And there are loads of developments that hopefully we can capture some of that in the special issue. The abstract submission deadline is the 31st of December 2024, and everyone submitting should include us all in the email, all the editors. And the subject heading should be JOTT Special Issue University Entrepreneurial Ecosystems. Here are our emails for everyone to see. The details of the special issue are also on the Journal of Technology Transfer website. And Chiara, would you like to say a bit more about submission process?
Well, yes, I can. The expected full submission deadline, just to cut to the chase, is going to be in 1 year time, because we have actually decided to have somewhat some chances to discuss directly with the author. So as Dan was anticipating, we would like people who are interested in submitting to send to all of us a short abstract by this 31st of December 2024, but then we will look at them and discuss, and then let you know what we think about your work by the 7th of February of 2025. And then we meant to organize 2 sessions that are going to be both hybrid. One at the Regional Study Association Conference, which is going to be in Porto in May 2025, and the session will be a paper development workshop, so it will be just for those who have been accepted in terms of extended abstract. And then we have foresee another chance, because we would like to have people from all over the world. So our second option will be in the States at the Arizona State University at the Technology Transfer Society conference. So the conference directly linked to the technology Journal of Technology Transfer. Sorry, all these technology transfer are getting me a bit confused. So again, the second session that we organize, where we're gonna give feedback to the author, is going to be in the fall, in September, likely 2025, at Arizona State University. And also that one will be hybrid, so virtual and in person. And there we will be commenting on draft paper submission. So the idea is, like, to create and interact as much as possible with the authors and give them the chance to talk to us and to build together a special issue that will actually be helpful from a range of different perspectives, which is what we all hope to do.
Thank you. And I will ask James to continue with submission particulars.
Yeah, thanks very much, Dan. And again, I suppose we're following the norms for the Journal of Tech Transfer. So if you go on the website for the journal, you'll have all the submission guidelines there in terms of the requirements in relation to the different elements of the paper, but also from a research ethics and perspective in terms of what's required there. And then obviously you submit the manuscripts to all our guest editors, and then, as with all our papers for the Journal of Tech Transfer, it will go through a double-blind peer review sort of process, and that was obviously looking at in terms of developing the paper with a view then, as we normally would, in terms of feeding those back then to the authoring teams for them to work on their paper, if that's the decision to revise and resubmit at that stage. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. And that's really it. So the purpose of this is to really promote the special issue to the audiences in the Central America, or those that focus on research in Central and South America. And hopefully we will receive a couple of submissions from the region. It would be really great to see perspectives that go beyond the Western or global North. Kind of examples of university entrepreneurial ecosystems, and see what is being done there, what is happening in the Central America. Yeah, Chiara, James, do you want to add anything?
No, I think it, just to echo your points, Dan, is I think we're very much interested in having a broad sort of global perspective. And I think if we look at and trying to obviously really reach out in terms of to sort of different contexts to see in terms of what is emerging and in relation to university ecosystems, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I just echo your words. We know that there's a vibrant academic community in South America, so we very much hope that they will engage with the journal and submit some of their contribution, because they would be most welcome.
You mentioned in the empirical line case studies, and can you say a few words about that? Because I'm sure there may be some people that may be willing to share information about their own ecosystems via case studies. What do you have any suggestions on that?
Sure. Yeah. We welcome any case studies, for example, of those academics that want to describe their own institutions that they know best, or other institutions that they study specifically. If they describe the ecosystem, tell us how it functions, how it works, perhaps something about the boundary, reach, its composition, configuration, anything that helps us understand how the university entrepreneurial ecosystems work or operate in different contexts, that would help us build a clearer kind of picture of how we should proceed with building the theory of university entrepreneurial ecosystems that is more generalizable to the wider population across the world, rather than just to the Western world, where it may be skewed towards a very particular way of functioning. I don't know whether my colleagues want to add anything else about
Maybe James would like to say something about that.
So, as Dana said, it might be like a single case study of a particular university. It might be looking at different universities in a particular region and looking at in terms of how the different university ecosystems interact with each other. Sometimes, yes, universities are in competition with each other, maybe for students in a region, but also they will be forced maybe through because of wider drivers because of government policy to collaborate around particular scientific initiatives. So then what does that, what are the implications of that, or what are the influences of that in terms of each of those individual ecosystems, but also in terms of maybe a wider regional sort of university ecosystems. But also, I suppose we're interested in terms of, are there different actors that are maybe invisible to us in terms of the global north, the global south, that are really are catalysts for driving university entrepreneurial ecosystems. They might have different names in terms of organizational titles, but also there might be maybe actors that are out in the communities and outside of the university that are very strong catalysts for driving in terms of how universities respond to the demands of their context. Also, I suppose there's maybe a very interesting socio-political, cultural sort of dimensions as well in terms of South America that are very intriguing and very interesting in terms of how do universities operate in those environments, but also then what does it influence in terms of how entrepreneurial ecosystems evolve and all that. So those. And I suppose lastly then is in terms of the leadership and the strategies that underpin and how sustainable are those in terms of that evolution of university ecosystems in South America and that part of the world. Yeah.
Now, if I can make an example, I was some time ago reviewing this very interesting paper that was looking at university ecosystems in Africa, okay, and they were debating and trying to articulate how a university ecosystem was developing from being a passive space to an active space. So now they were using Bordeaux as, theoretical reference. This is perhaps a bit too specific, but it was very interesting to see how they described through a series of interview and archival material the evolution that a specific university had through time, from its first function to its more recent development in terms of supporting the underpinning entrepreneurial awareness of their stakeholder, which were students, staff, but also local communities that in that specific context, they were actually going to have short courses and a bit of a slightly different, let's say, perspective than what I've heard before in terms of, university support to entrepreneurship. So I thought that was very interesting and very novel. So I don't know if that might help, but yeah.
Yeah, if I may add also to finish off talking about the empirical part, we also encourage papers that are quantitative in nature. We haven't mentioned those specifically, but we also encourage those, especially if they study a greater sample of university entrepreneurial ecosystems and try to explain their behavior functioning in their unique specific ways. So that's also definitely encouraged.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Dan. Actually, we know that historical data sometimes are quite hard to find. So anything which has got, either a cross-sectional or a panel nature would be very welcome in terms of contribution. Specifically, if we want to look also at the evolution, it would be excellent.
Sounds great. We usually, and Daniel, because you have been invited, several times, we usually invite authors, okay, to share their perspectives, particularly, as you know, if they are able to translate their findings that are usually shared with specialists like you in such a way that they can be shared to a wider audience, in a sort of, people that are not as knowledgeable as you are of the nuances of entrepreneurial development, etc. That, audiences that include entrepreneurs, include university leaders, include academicians who may not specialize necessarily in the entrepreneurial development field. So I mentioned this because the platform is open to you guys. If you want to, once you have your papers and, you want to select a few to discuss or bring, these authors to the platform, that would be great. And it's a nice way of not only expanding synergies between, you and interesting people in Central America or South America, but so it's a way to develop synergies and opportunities also for new research, etc. Okay, so we are always, as Daniel knows, who is one of our advisors, to bring on board, these people that are willing to share, their know-how, their knowledge in such a way that, an audience like ours that is not necessarily a specialist can benefit, from those findings. Okay.
Well, thank you, Renee. Absolutely. So it looks like we are going to have another session for sure after the special issue is out as a summary, and before maybe also, who knows?
You are welcome. Whatever you decide, this is going to be your platform. And as you know, we share this information via LinkedIn. We have a bulletin that is distributed to something like 600, 700 professionals in the Central American area. And we have a blog and we have our YouTube channel. So, hopefully this is going to widen, if you wish, your audience. Because one of the things that happened with researchers is that most of your discussions, take place in really very close environments, okay? Like, a seminar, an event like the one that you're planning in Arizona, etc. Okay, but here the idea is to connect you, okay, with a wider audience, and so that the audience knows that what you do is indeed very relevant for the entrepreneurial development, not only in regions but all over the world. Okay. Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah, it definitely seems like we're going to have another couple of sessions with you.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you are going to be very welcome, okay?
Yes.
And we look forward to that, okay?
Thanks, René.
So let me say a few closing words, to say that we want to extend our heartfelt thanks to Daniel, Chiara, and James. Your insights in the evolution and impact of university entrepreneurial ecosystems is invaluable as knowledge, and we are sure that you are going to spark important discussions. I also want to thank our partners, Clads at Inkai and Camtic, for their continued collaboration and support, making this event possible. And finally, a big thank to all of our audience for their active participation and engagement. And we're truly interested in similar these events, and we encourage the audience to stay connected with us at EmpreSomos.org and also at our EmpreSomos YouTube channel. Thank you once again to you and to everyone that is going to pay attention to this video podcast. Okay. Thanks a
Well,
lot.
thank you.